Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel here, and I figured for personal vlog number 51, I might talk something a little more on a serious note here. Is I'm going to call this one reflecting on 9/11 18 years later. I mean, the other day there, it was September 11th here in 2019. It's an unfaithful day that happened in the United States, with the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center in New York and Pentagon in Washington, and then that one flight that apparently was slated for the White House or the Capitol building, that eventually passengers were able to divert it and crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania here. I'm going to just reflect on how I feel, even me here in Calgary, over 3,000 miles away, on how reflecting on 9/11, on the events that transpired that day, I think has changed me and my outlook on life to this day going forward here. I mean, 9/11, or going back to 2001 there, it was definitely a monumental year for me, as I graduated from high school in 2001, and I did return for a semester to do some upgrading, but I did officially graduate from high school, and I was looking at that time to be going to state here in Calgary, which I eventually did, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to major in yet, and still figuring out my strengths and weaknesses and my interests at that time. But, it was definitely a huge morning there. I mean, I was watching the local news, just like any other day as you're about to head out the door. I don't do that anymore just because I'm up much earlier and don't have time to have the TV on to do your morning stuff and get out here. But, watching local news, and then suddenly it broke into, the plane crashing in the first tower, or the World Trade Center, and then, definitely knew shit was getting real when, as they were talking about what happened and speculating on the first plane, that you saw the second plane live crashing into the other tower there. And actually, all the videos and out there, it's out here on YouTube, and I do occasionally watch those newscasts, especially those that were right in New York, just to show how the mood changed from their morning shows. How it was just how to have someone in as a guest, and then suddenly it's like, oh, we gotta break off here, and some of them show the commercials, and it definitely showed the mood, what people were like then, and definitely now. But definitely got real when you saw the second tower got hit, and then next thing you know, you heard the Pentagon got hit, and then there was speculation on that other plane that it was slated to hit another monumental target there. And of course, before I go on, thoughts and prayers to everyone that was unfortunately affected from those terrible events, and it definitely has also made us a lot more heightened and aware of everything, and that's where one of the things that just hasn't ever been the same again 18 years later is we're definitely more aware on terrorism, and you always got to watch out for some of these groups, extreme groups, where apparently that is part of religion, is the suicide bomb. And I mean, definitely still felt it hit me here in Calgary and whole country Canada, because Canada's, we're a close ally to the United States there, and definitely always have each other's backs, and biggest trading partner there. But I just felt, going back to being a monumental time in my life here, is that I was 19 years old. I was getting out of my innocent childhood and teenage years and starting to enter adult life here and, making big decisions about college and what the heck this guy wants to do for the rest of his life here. But, what changed is the fact that, the big thing that definitely has changed is people are definitely a lot more patriotic and proud, because you definitely saw that right after 9/11, and I personally feel that I have been a lot more patriotic and proud for being a Canadian, and my sports fandom definitely has grown, and being more proud about where I'm from and teams I cheer for. I've always been a sports fan, but I felt that part has grown a lot more because of what happened, and then the fact that I always sometimes get criticized being too serious at times, but I also felt that things have gotten a lot more serious because of what's happened. You almost felt like all the innocence that you had prior to 9/11, it disappeared. That anything is vulnerable, and everyone is vulnerable, and the fact that, that's exactly what happened there, and we definitely closed our borders there. 9/11 was also the first time on that unfaithful day that they made the call to shut down all flights in North America. That's never happened, and we as gracious Canadians, we actually housed a lot of, stranded Americans who come down and were stunned to say, yeah, this is what happened today. Yeah, and you're thinking, this has got to be a bad dream, but unfortunately it wasn't. It was reality, and I know the events, days and weeks leading up to it, there's definitely ongoing coverage, and, there were definitely electronic shops that set up a big TV in a whole viewing area where CNN was on 24/7, and definitely, people have definitely been a lot more aware and have had to be a lot more vigilant, and fortunately, I feel like even by myself that I can't let my guard down, because there's times I admit that there's times I have let my guard down just a little, and then I get a little, danger, it seems like it happens, and then it's like I gotta keep it up here all the time, and that's definitely feel like I've had to do that a lot more since 9/11, and the fact that also just entering different phases of my life here. But the other big one too is that I think the economy has definitely been a lot more fragile since then. There was that downturn initially after everything was starting to get back to normal, but it seems like the booms and busts have been a lot more severe, and we're still trying to, I personally feel we're still trying to recover from, the global financial crisis in 2008, and the fact that we had a couple good years there, and then oil crashed, and then, not mean to talk too much about politics, I will occasionally do take on politics, and I did my take on the Alberta provincial election, and I think I'll probably make a video on, now that we're going to be starting the federal election here in Canada, and whatever happens there, I'll probably make a video about that. But, we've had a lot of left-wing socialism that has made things a little worse in my mind on all levels of government, but maybe you can also tie this back in with my political views on 9/11 and being a lot more patriotic and more proud and traditional. But I've always considered myself a conservative, and I generally have had conservative views, but that's the best outlook for the economy and people's needs here in Western Canada, where we're very resource rich and driven. But I personally feel that I've gotten even more conservative over the views, because I feel like we need to protect our our values, and that's essentially what this terrorist acts was about, just trying to disrupt our lives. And yeah, it did disrupt the lives and shake things up, but people came back and were a lot more unified than ever before. And then the fact that it traced back to Al Qaeda and Afghanistan there, and eventually they did get the ringleader of Osama bin Laden. That Canada, as a peacekeeping nation, definitely had a big peacekeeping mission that we aided in Afghanistan there. And don't know the exact number there, but it was around 180, 190 troops that unfortunately we lost from, I think it was in 10 years there, from 03 to 2013, I believe was the last time Canada was deploying soldiers out to Afghanistan there. And I know that's when the U.S. kind of unofficially ended their war on terror there. But, unfortunately, because, maybe there was a few laps and holes that, unfortunately, these attacks were made possible from terrorist groups, that I don't think the war on terror, unfortunately, is never going to end. And some people are jealous. Maybe they're jealous of Western civilization, or, it's definitely something that at some point is always on my mind. Well, especially sometimes, when I do design work in the engineering plant industry, and we do design life safety systems and security systems, and sometimes you do compare, the events that happened in 9/11 and how, fortunately, a lot of people weren't able to get out of the World Trade Center. But, I've never been to New York, but it's one of the places I definitely want to visit. But that's definitely one site that I have to check out, is the World Trade Center site. That memorial, I think, for what it is, it's definitely pretty in how they memorialize it, but unfortunately it signifies what was there, and I just need to see the magnitude of that. And it looks neat how they have the cavities where the two towers used to be, and the waterfall, trying to signify finally peace. And they got all the names of all the people that unfortunately were identified. There's definitely a lot more people that, especially when they just had their, remembrance ceremonies the other day to mark 18 years, that there's people that are still technically missing just because they haven't been identified. But, I definitely want to check that out whenever I go to New York, just to see the magnitude of the whole site there, and what was considered ground zero. And still, it's hard to fathom and comprehend that something like this happened, and until whenever I'm gone, this unfaithful day is always going to be remembered by me. And then the other thing I also remember that day is that I think I don't remember any other events, even with that shooting that happened at Parliament Hill in Ottawa 5 years ago. But I remember there was a special during the day newspaper that was made covering about what the heck happened that day, and they were all being distributed at the train stations for free there. But it's just basically my reflections on just the events of 9/11 from my point of view, from where I am, over 3,000 miles away. But a lot of it still feels like, felt like I was there. At the same time, given Canada's relationship in general with the United States, and we definitely follow a lot of American values up here in Canada. in North America that, the world definitely has not been the same again, and all the extra padding and fees and all that extra time you got to give yourself just to cram yourself in the middle of the tube, also known as an airplane, to get somewhere, and all that extra stuff is all result of what happened on that unfaithful day. And apparently there's hidden air marshals on site to hopefully prevent this, but on the other hand, there's always going to be, unfortunately, terrorist events as long as people are ruling this planet here. But this one definitely is the worst one, that happened in North America, and has definitely been the most monumental one to date. And the fact that I feel like those events that happened on that particular day, has changed me as a person over time as I entered different phases of my life. But both good, bad, and indifferent here. It is what it is. And what's your take on when looking back on that unfaithful day and watching YouTube videos of newscasts then, and all the interviews, and any memories you've had that day, and how do you feel it's changed you or changed the world? 18 years, that's getting close to another generation here, because I'm getting to the point now that I'm starting to get coworkers that are half my age, and that's actually one of the questions I ask them, is knowing how old they are, and figuring they're only a couple years old, I almost have to ask them, do you remember 9/11? And they generally say no. As eventually, you learn that, searching online, you always hear references to it, and also the fact that although I don't watch as much of his content now, I find that it's definitely worn off. But one of my favorite cartoon creators, I like to know what goes on in his head, but his earlier stuff was much better, is Seth MacFarlane, the creator of Family Guy and spin-off shows of American Dad and Cleveland Show, and those are the big ones right there. But Seth MacFarlane, he was too hungover to fly on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. Apparently he was slated to go on one of those flights that unfortunately was conducted in those terrorist events there. So who knows? Because sometimes reference is made to that. Indirectly, if you don't know that, you got to wonder why they throw that in there. But Seth MacFarlane actually could have been on that plane dead, and who knows, maybe we wouldn't have that crude adult animation comedy to enjoy today. It's just one of those what ifs, and then you hear some other stories that apparently somebody was scheduled to, you always hear stories of people saying that they were in New York City that day. They were about to, go up to the top of the observatory tech of the World Trade Center, and then had to turn around and say, oh shoot, I forgot my camera. Well, maybe that was a good thing. And then, obviously you gotta thank for all the first responders too, and it definitely takes a special person to be a good one of those. But I know at Halloween that year, there were definitely a lot more people wearing first responders as costumes because of that. And you've heard stories of, people were about to retire that day and take that back because they knew that the call was still had to be answered. And I considered myself one time. All little boys say at one time they wanted to be a police officer, and then I even at times I looked at possibly being a paramedic, but I just don't think, being fit both physically and mentally, it takes definitely a special kind of person to do that on a high level and consistently and do that for years and be damn good at it. But yeah, I just want to close up this first vlog here that, this is definitely my reflections on 9/11 18 years later. I mean, I'm not one of these people that's like, what, 18 years? Well, yeah, it's 2019. It happened in 2001. Do the math. And time is linear. That part seems to blow people's minds away. That, 2 years from now, it'll be 20 years, and 7 years from now, it'll be 25 years. Whoa, man. Really? Yeah, time is linear. It's been going at the same pace as long as time's been established, and I mean, as you get older, your gaps between your perception of time changes as you get older too. As you know, a year to a 5-year-old seems like a very long time because it represents 20% of their life. While a year to a 50-year-old, a year seems like a sneeze or a cough because it only represents 2% of their life. Just think about that. So yeah, I mean, feel free to comment below if you watch to the end, and I mean, these are just my personal views and personal look on the events where I am, and I mean, that's the whole point of this personal vlog series, and start working my way to getting up to 100 personal vlogs and 100 subscribers. So if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I do this, plus I'm a Calgary sports fan, so I definitely cover that, and I like to share moments at sport events or anytime I'm on vacation there. If I find something interesting, or photo collages or any videos there, I got enough content on my channel that if you go once a week, there's something new to watch, and I have everything broken up in playlists there. So anyway, as I always say, I'll see you in the next video, and last time, just all my thoughts and prayers to everyone who was affected by 9/11 on that unfaithful day. Unfortunately, a group of terrorists conducted a suicide mission and had to take several thousand people and some monumental structures along with them. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you again.